One very cool type of dive is a night dive, in where, as the name probably suggests, you go diving at night when it's dark. But what do you need to bring with you? Is there anything extra, anything special? That's what we're going to focus on today. Hi, all of you awesome scuba divers out there. Welcome to the Scuba Diving Magazine channel, and welcome to Askmark, our scuba diving Q&A, where I, Mark, former dive instructor, do my best to answer your scuba diving questions. If you do have any diving questions, pop them down in the comment section underneath this video. Use this Askmark hashtag somewhere in your comment to get it featured, and I do try to type out an answer. If I miss them, if I miss yours, I apologise. There's quite a few coming through, but yeah. Type it down there and it highlights it behind the scenes. But yeah, today I'm answering a question from 𝐿 about what to bring on a night dive. So 𝐿 says, hi Mark, can you make a video of what he finds to be essential equipment for night diving and what is nice to have? So as far as essential equipment for night dives, you're going to need a torch, a decent, powerful dive light. You don't need to use it at its maximum power, but it is nice to have that maximum power just in case you're lost at sea and you're just going to be seen from a lot further away. Or if you're diving in like murkier waters, it's helpful to pierce through the water. But yeah, a primary dive light. And the reason why I say a primary is that you also need a backup dive light. Now, how powerful they are is very much up to you, but I tend to use something, I think my main torch is about 3000 lumens as like a maximum power, but depending on the water, I'm rarely using it at full power. My backup dive torch is about 1000 lumens, which again is pretty bright at full power, but I have had dives where my primary dive light has just switched off. It can either be through the battery runs out or through flooding, because torches do flood eventually. You're taking electronics underwater and you're taking it quite deep underwater, so the pressure and the water's going to get in. It happens from time to time, even if you do check those O-rings. So instead of continuing the dive, squinting, you can just switch to your backup dive torch. My primary usually lives on the back of my hand so that I can still use my hands. My backup usually lives clipped off to my left harness, so it's out of the way, it's still nice and streamlined, but it's pretty easy to grab hold of should my primary fail. My backup usually just lives there throughout any dive, even if I'm diving during the day, because sometimes during the day you do find some dark corners, and it's quite nice to be able to peer under. You might find something and you need to illuminate it, or in the unlikely event that you get lost at sea, chances are that even though you started the dive during the day, by the time that emergency services has been notified and they actually get out to you, it might have started to turn dark. So a dive light is always worth bringing with you. Those are like the essentials. Some nice things to have: slightly thicker wetsuit, because as soon as the sun goes down, the water does start to drop in temperature. And again, if you're lost at sea, then yeah, great, you might be able to survive that like 1 hour night dive in that kind of temperature. But just think, hey, if I am lost at sea and I am spending like 4, 5, 6 plus hours in the water, I'm going to want some decent exposure protection, so something a little bit thicker is definitely worth it. A compass is quite useful. Even if your dive computer, a lot of dive computers nowadays have digital compasses, but yeah, an analog compass is always useful to have, because it can be quite easy to get turned around when it's dark, because you can't see quite as many like landmarks underwater to orient yourself, so it can be quite easy to get turned around. So a compass is quite nice to just reset your bearings. Otherwise, a lot of divers have like beacons. You don't see them quite as often, but they used to have glow sticks. They're going out of fashion now because of like single-use plastics and chemicals and things in the water. But yeah, just some kind of a colourful beacon. You can get little flashers that's attached to like your cylinder valve or just behind you, and a lot of them float as well. So they float up a little bit just behind your head, so that from behind, other divers can identify you are blue, that's Ricky, yellow, it's Stephen. You can start to identify people by their colors, and if you have if you're returning to a certain point, if you have a boat with like a drop tank or something, a strobe going, you can get these emergency strobes, which are pretty cheap, and yeah, they just flash, and you can see them piercing for a good distance. Some divers do bring an actual strobe with them on a dive, again, just in case they're lost at sea. It's nice and bright, so emergency services can find them. Yeah, glow sticks, going out of fashion a little bit. A lot of divers still use them for obvious reasons. They are quite useful because they're not depth rated or anything. They don't rely on any batteries. They are single use though, and depending on which glow stick, they'll glow for 6, 12, 24 hours or whatever. You can get different colors. You can even get infrared ones, which are quite handy for emergency services. But yeah, they're going a bit out of fashion because you'll see a whole bunch of old ones just stacked up on certain spots because it's run out. I can't be bothered to remove it. We'll just leave it there, and then inevitably it breaks off and then just plastic in the ocean. So they're going out of fashion. We're getting more reusable ones. I don't know if they still make them anymore. I used to have a glow tube. Yeah, I just found mine, my old one. I haven't used this in a while. I don't know if it's still got batteries in it. No, it doesn't. Good. Yeah, that was a convenience little thing. I don't think they make them anymore. I need to get some replacement batteries and see if this one still works. But yeah, just a tough little beacon light, and yeah, all it does is just sit on a lanyard attached to the back of your cylinder, so you can identify one another or attach it to whatever. So it just blinks occasionally. Otherwise, that's about it. It's mainly, yeah, your primary and your backup dive torch. They're a no-brainer, and of course the rest of your usual equipment. It gets a bit colder on night dives, so it's worth bringing a thicker exposure protection and any extra lead that you may need for that. A little beacon, a compass is quite useful. That's probably about it, to be honest. One thing that I like to do on a night dive is to actually turn my torch off. I know a lot of places say, no, don't fiddle with your torch, because that's how they end up leaking. If it's on, it's on. Leave it on until you exit the water. But yeah, usually on like a safety stop, I'll turn it off, because in a lot of waters you'll be quite surprised at how much bioluminescent algae is in the water, or plankton, sorry. And I was tying knots at night. It was an exercise for the HSE diving course in the River Foy, and so it's a river in Cornwall. Visibility wasn't that bad actually, and yeah, it was a night dive, and it was all just teach about like low light level skills, and just practice your tying knots. And yeah, I just figured, what's the point in having a torch on, and switched it off. And yeah, just tying these knots, and there's all these little sparkles around my hand, because you don't really see it with the light on. But yeah, any kind of movement just excites it, and yeah, it is quite a magical thing when your hands are sparkling and you're just tying knots underwater. So I tend to do that and make little light diver angels at night with the torches off. But yeah, that's about all the equipment that you need. Yeah, night dives are cool. I do enjoy a good night dive. I find it very different and quite focused, because you've only got like your torch beam to focus on what you're looking at. It is much more focused, and you've got the different crew out, different species come out at night, so everything's a little bit different. You can dive the exact same dive site, and it physically looks different because all of these like sea fans and things come out, and the whole reef looks slightly different. So yeah, I only had one weird experience where swimming along and this huge fish just swam straight underneath me. And you know, like in a horror movie, when you only get like a glance of something, you're like, whoa, what the heck was that? And it was gone. You're like, okay. But yeah, as far as night diving, it's pretty simple. A torch, as powerful as you can get. A backup torch, and yeah, just a compass and a thicker wetsuit are quite nice to have. I think that's about it. But if there's some kind of beacon thing is quite handy. But yeah, if there's anything else that you bring with you on a night dive, by all means let us know down in the comments below, as well as any other questions. If you've got any other questions, put them down in the comment section. Use this Askmark hashtag to get it featured in an upcoming video. Otherwise, remember to head over to all of our websites. We've got a bunch rolling down here. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all that good social media stuff. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.